Hello, hello, people of the internets. It's your boy, Skinny Penis, with another fresh from the press Superboat replay. Today it's the Zorky, crack game in it. I never actually did a video on Zorky, I think. Now we can talk a lot about it. It's gonna be a long game. It's gonna be a ring around the rosy on S Sherry game. And in the end we come out on top. Sadly, Bison gets run down in this one in a patrie, but the enemy team has enough counter-inting going on early, mid, and late that we can make up for it. You will also see I walk the dogs of the battleships in my team throughout the map because they always follow the DD, apparently. Our DDs are inting, their DDs are inting. It's going to be a balanced game in terms of how shit both teams are. And just because I am in a Zorky, we probably win it. I get the perfect scenarios to abuse the enemy team. But yeah, let's talk a bit about Zorky. Basically, Zorky is nothing else but I think it is even a Kaba hull, but it's kind of Release Khabarovsk. It's basically the same. Release Khabarovsk had similar maneuverability. That's a big thing about Kaba. They nerfed the maneuverability, specifically the rudder shift into the ground, so Kaba gets like BB rudder shift. And it had 10k torps when it was released. The only thing that's different is that Release Khabarovsk had way higher, or like not way higher, but it had definitely higher HE alpha and fire chance. They nerfed that one on Khabarovsk too. But back in the days, you didn't have a heal on the Russian DDs. Khabarovsk had to slot smoke as well, so torpedoes were a big threat because you couldn't heal back shit. Also, sitting in a smoke was a bit sketch with the torps coming in. But then if you remember, like back in the days, you only had gearing, Shema, and then a Z for torps. So torpedoes were a bit easier to plan for because the reloads were longer. And there was nothing like a Haaland yet in the game, for example. Because like Smoke Kaba or Zorky would be pretty bad to play against Haaland because the torpedoes are too fast to dodge them really if you're in their smoke, and they come too often, so you can't really plan ahead. Like you can't really dodge the torps or something, or spot the torps and then smoke up for 1.5 minutes and wait for the next Gemma set while you're farming from a smoke. That's like impossible. But yeah, it is basically a release cover, the 10km torps as well. They nerfed Zorky though twice now. They nerfed the gun reload while giving it 10km torps, originally at 6 as well. So you have a bit more torpedo viability. You can shit them out in kite, people may run into them. Obviously, same logic as flooding on like a Marcus or a Smaland. If you have a great gunboat and you get access to torps that could potentially flood, you are easily able to capitalize on the floods with your, what's it called, with your HE farm. Obviously you can set fires afterwards. Specifically no fire prevention BBs would be insta-fucked because they DCP the flood. Most people still do. Instantaneously, and then you just set them on double or triple perma afterwards. Also we're running Kuznetsov here, so you could see First Blood gives us additional charges on the consumables. Not like you really need them on a Zorky since you run Superintendent anyways, but I mean it's a nice little addition. Like you can just shit heals and speed boosts out now. Specifically you can also heal again before even reaching max potential healing, so you can stay a bit longer in the fight. Here, by the way, Elbing, the burst on Zorky is has been nerfed from 4 volleys to 3, so your burst alpha isn't that high anymore, but you still get the 50% HE penetration, which is kind of like built-in IFHE. It's even better. Like Zorky reaches 30 millimeters of pen with the burst, so in case you have a cruiser or so that's low HP, and you want to also go dark and shit, or you want to just force him immediately down with like let's say 6 to 10k more HE alpha, you can burst most of the cruisers. I mean obviously the ones that have 30 millimeters of armor, and because you burst you also penetrate them, so you get some nice alpha in at once. The 4 burst volley was a bit busted, especially also against DDs, because 4 instantaneous volleys of a Zorky into a gunboat or even a torpedo boat that's caught is a lot of HP lost. So obviously this thing also synergizes super well with radars. It still does, or it synergizes with your suicidal brain damage destroyers that run at hard light into the enemy DD. You can probably out-trade for your DD into the enemy DD unless he gets himself magically turbo one-shot, but even then you can still burst before the enemy DD smokes or goes dark and get some additional damage. It's pretty nice. Though then again you have to mind that the reload after you burst is extremely long. It is virtually just designed to deal additional damage when you know the enemy ship goes dark or has a heal soon, so you can burst maybe a cruiser down before he heals. but you don't magically keep any sort of DPM. Like it's not like an Alvaro where the burst got buffed so often that now the burst has similar DPM to the normal guns, or like Castille. Castille, you only lose like 2-3 seconds on reload if you burst, as if you would shoot 2 volleys. So Zorki, you still gotta be careful. It's one of the old bursts like Annapolis or Conde, where you actually it's a situational burst, which is super strong as a gimmick to have, because it kind of is a permanent reload booster. In that sense, it's even better, because you don't only have the reload, you just shit a bunch of volleys immediately. But yeah, gotta be careful. You can't really randomly burst the entire time. Here you can see that Zorki is literally by far the most... It's the strongest gunboat in gunboat versus gunboat fights, that's for sure. That and Khabarovsk. Khabarovsk is still insanely strong because you have 60mm plating, makes you bounce or shatter a lot of HE. Then you have heals, you have tons of HP, you have really easy to hit gun arcs. So like you're the top dog gunboat, but in return you lose your smoke because you obviously have to run heal kind of, and you lose your concealment. On Khabarovsk you even lose all your maneuverability. Depends a bit. If you run a normal Kaba, you kind of have some maneuverability because you run 40% steering instead of conceal, but then you have no concealment at all. If you run ledge Kaba, you have more range and DPM, but you're mostly just creating a permanent AFK range farmer on cruisers and battleships, because your maneuverability becomes so extremely sluggish and bad that ledge mod Kaba is, yeah, it's just a mid to long range spammer. Going in and knife fighting is really dangerous. Mainly torps are the issue here. Torpedoes are a big threat to these cars if you eat them. But then again, like Zorki gets the maneuverability, so you don't really have to eat torpedoes that much. You can also spec into concealment, at least on the module. So you get 8-7, which is pretty bad, but you want to be mid to long range most of the time anyways. As you could see against the Yamato, you are by far the most obnoxious range farmer. You don't have a citadel. You can even bounce Yamato shells theoretically on your plating, and you have a heal and mad HP. So this Yamato could never really kill me. These cars are only countered if you have cruisers and DDs playing properly around you as a battleship or even as a cruiser. You need specific cruisers like Ven, Nevsky, Moskva to deter this thing. You need well-played concealment boats that actually zone properly and don't get run down by it, and don't get radared or anything by your cruisers, so the Zorki gets for free kill. So yeah, you have to have a lot of coordination to counter this thing. It is extremely obnoxious in what it does. And on top of that, you also get 10 km torps now. Sadly, most people just obviously abuse it then as a range farmer, get their PR, get their damage. But Zorki can, even though it is best used as a support destroyer for your torpedo or spot DD, or in combination with a radar cruiser or even a CV, you here, by the way, I burst the Elbing earlier and now because I penetrated side plating with a burst. I wouldn't if I just shoot my normal HE into him. So bursting here gives me the ability to pen and fuck him faster. I mean, if you catch him that close, you would load AP most of the times because you don't want to burst and then be stuck with a 30-something second reload. So AP would be the weapon of choice. But for example, earlier when he was spotted flat outside of the island, I expected him to immediately reverse. So in order to get all my shell hits in, I just stuck with HE that I had and bursted him. But it's good if you think about this kind of stuff on any gunboat. Also, like there's a Khabarovsk, you will later see that I shoot AP into the Khabarovsk. There are some thick gunboats like Elbing and Kaba or even Delny where you basically shatter HE and you want to use AP. And you gotta mind your ammo choice there. So in this game, as you could see, like we had a no fire prevention Yamato. It's also a reason this flank collapsed even faster, because if it's a fire prevention one, I can't kill him as fast as I did. The ability to set double or triple perma instantaneously and have an additional fire ticking or even 2 is incredible. Kills him way faster, so we can actually push the flank immediately. The Elbing for some reason stuck around. The submarine is doing weird shit and probably gets him... No, actually, I don't know if he gets himself killed yet. But yeah, I'm trying to just go into their spawn because everything is opened up. I can get their base for free, and Bison dies here. And there's still same amounts of ship alive, enemy team and ours, and they're all full HP from the other side. But as you can see here once again, the Patrouille is also no fire prevention. So, and he also DCPs one of my fires now instead of holding DCP. So he DCPs and heals at the same time, by the way, here. So after like 20 seconds, he's out of heal and DCP, so we can just fuck him down, and he's inting. As you can see here, it's going to be a DD and battleship diff again. The cruisers have basically no fucking power over this game, really. There's so many BBs running around. Basically a question here as to whose team's DDs int harder. The enemy had 2 of our DDs inting on their 8, 9, 10 line, but they also had their own DDs on 1, 2, 3 inting. Marceau instant. Both Marceau's, our team and theirs, inted immediately. The Elbing, I mean, he didn't straight up int, but he stuck around on a shit rock on a flank that collapsed, so he got killed too. The Yamagiri will get himself killed in the middle, but so does our Sherman. So in the end, it's just Kaba versus me that magically avoided to die. Apparently, it's black magic to survive in destroyers for more than, like, I don't know, 3 minutes these days. And the battleships is the same thing. Like, my BBs are brain damaged. Monk monkeys behind me, as you can see, they all group up. They don't spread out the map. They didn't support the 8, 9, 10 line from our team that got overrun with crossfire. But the enemy team's BBs aren't much better either. I mean, the Patrie just got 1 healed in the middle. This guy leaves map and goes somewhere. Here, by the way, I stayed in Kite because the Moskva from 10 line was unspotted for ages. And obviously he goes towards middle. And then the question becomes, where exactly is he going? Is he going up towards me, or is he already down with the Yamagiri Adatara? And, well, surprise, surprise, good thing I didn't immediately go for D or the Colombo, because the Moskva is in fact here, but the Moskva is also inting immediately. Sad, sad, sad. See, my Sherman gets death struck in a Hydro Destroyer by a Yamagiri. Pretty pathetic if you ask me, but that Sherman was a bit demented in any case. You could see it in the beginning, smoking up outside of cap. We killed some stuff. He doesn't cap at all. Like, I killed a Yamato before the Sherman even attempted cap, even though it was for free. So yeah, sadly that's the story. Destroyers are extremely sad in randoms, and well, I mean, it gives you a lot more impact on gunboats that have shit concealment like this. DDs are misplayed so miserably that, for example, I have 1.7 kilometer worse conceal than the Marcus. So theoretically, even though I can fuck him for free because I have easier arcs at mid to long range. I can outtrade him. I have heal. I have the platings. I can fuck a Marcus unless he catches me like 4 kilometers flat and shits AP into me. I can basically fuck a Marcus for free, but he can outspot me for 1.7 kilometers. Well, but does it matter? No, it doesn't, because the enemy Marcus runs into the cap and immediately suicides. So what the fuck? It's like these gunboats supposedly are designed to farm down BBs and cruisers and support their own destroyers, but in the end, you can just play for caps and enemy DDs as much as you could with another DD. That's why no concealment specs on cruisers and DDs aren't even that big of a downside, because people just get themselves spotted permanently while inting, or force spotted because they want to shoot you anyways. Like, dude, sometimes you're running a Zorky or a Kaba or some shit, and like a Haaland has no business shooting you, no business. Like, just spot this thing and torp it maybe. Nope, fucking Haaland's open up randomly at 6-7 kilometers, and you're like, the fuck are you doing? You're fat, you're sluggish, you're stupid, you will never outgun me, you will never even deal significant damage with your guns to me, and you're just dead. Like, I can just fuck you. And they still do it. I mean, it's amazing. Same thing as people playing Haaland in the first place. Like, why wouldn't you play a Gearing or a Shimmer that outspots these gunboats way more? At least this one here, because in DD versus DD engagement, Zorki is at least a bit more balanced, because you can disengage from it. It's not as obnoxious as a Smaland or a fucking Gdansk that can radar you at the same time. You can see, by the way, just burst that guy. I was pretty sure he doesn't have a smoke here, but better be safe than sorry and burst him down and kill him. I got an angle to his angle, or his position, because he may have sent 18 torps for me. Gotta be careful there. 1 torp midship and I'm going. So gotta be really mindful of torpedoes. It's always been the case for cruisers, DDs and shit. For BBs, I mean, you can at least tank them a bit, but as I said, like BBs, if you want to stay alive forever, you also want to dodge torps. It's hard to hit torps these days, also given all the hydro and the nature of passive gameplay and people hiding on the rocks a lot and shit. But yeah, it's hard to hit them, easy to dodge them, but still gotta be always mindful of that. Once again, another BB without fire prevention. That's, by the way, the 3rd one in a row. And I think the Adatara also doesn't have fire prevention, so yeah, what can you say? It is an obnoxious gunboat. It is also probably too strong, but it shouldn't have that kind of impact. Zorki should not be able to burn down BBs that easy, but they don't take fire prevention. Zorki shouldn't be able to really kill that many of the lower concealed DDs, even gunboats or torp DDs, but they run into your hard light on purpose or shoot you. Well, it's amazing. Like, the only thing that is a bit scary still, because you can't really fuck it that fast, is like some cruisers. I mean, Moskva, Nevsky, Ven, Napoli and stuff, they still live for ages against you, because they also don't take 30-second fires. Most of them have platings, or like all of them have kind of platings that they dodge you with. So cruisers are probably the only issue you have, or carriers. Submarines you can run away from, because you have 14.8 base range, which is pretty good, right? But yeah, what can you say? It shouldn't be that strong. That's for sure. I can say that much. Or it shouldn't have that much impact better. Like, but the problem is if you nerf it now, people will definitely suck way harder on Zorki. I mean, if you've played Zorki, you don't have to have a lot of damage or win rate or anything to get Super Unicum PR. It's once again one of those DD moments where the highest DPM and easiest to farm with DDs have insane PR anyways, because people are just suiciding with them. As you could see this game, both Marcuses ran it down, even though Marcus has the highest DPM on all DDs. They just run it down and have 0 damage and shit. So when good players play Marcus, they magically get the highest PR on the tier 10 ship, kind of, with 5k and more. Well, yeah. I guess it's nice to abuse the fact that people suck so much on gunboats. But yeah, what can you say? So this game, as you can see, we got Witherer, we got Arsonist. That's definitely down to the... Yeah, the other tower also doesn't have fire prevention. That's like 4 out of 4 BBs I shot that don't have fire prevention. Insane to me, but whatever. What can you do? We got like Witheras, Arsonist. We already killed 3 destroyers. We killed the Yamagiri, we killed the Elbing, we killed the Marceau. We did around 15k to each and every one of them. Soon or later on, the Khabarovsk will follow, because we will win this game. And I basically just circled around the map, got B and D cap. Obviously, I could have gotten A as well, but I was the guy going behind the Elbing, so the Elbing dies earlier. And it's always like nice to kill the DD fast, because the battleships generally like to play the game a bit more then. Gotta be careful though, if you kill DDs too fast and too often, sometimes you will be surprised as to how fast battleships suddenly suicide, because suddenly they think, oh, everything is fine, Torp DD is gone. For some reason, that's the only thing BB monkeys really respect, is torpedo DDs. They hate that shit. And that's the only thing they actually respect. I mean, they mold about HE spam and fires a lot, but then they don't take fire prevention, so I guess they don't respect it after all. But torpedo DDs are something, man. If you get spotted in like a Yinan, a YY, a Shema, something that has mad torpedoes, all BBs are turning insta-kite into base, man. I swear to God. Crazy. That at least they respect that. So yeah, well, here my Hindenburg is giga confused since the start of the game. My GK is coming in behind me. So what we're doing now is obviously force the other tower down before he gets behind the rock. Isn't that hard. I didn't even get a double fire on him, but he dies anyways. Around 6 kills. And instead of sticking in C now, because we don't know, like I personally don't know if the Hindenburg may die to the Kaba, because the Kaba was very healthy, so the Hinden could die. The Hinden is very low, and he's stupid, so he may be even flat for AP. So since the GK will enter C, I'm just trying to run it into B and catch the Kaba, which should be possible, because the caps take a while. I don't have my consumables yet, already pre-healed already, so my next heal comes off cooldown while I'm fighting the Kaba, or when I'm fighting the Kaba, hopefully. And yeah, well, just try to catch the Kaba, maybe even decap, which means even if I trade, that's like the goal. Yeah, now I can decap, means even if I die to him, he doesn't get B, but the GK blocks C, so point-wise we're fine. He's just running away. It's a concealment Kaba, double concealment actually. I spotted him very, very late. He doesn't, so he doesn't also have maneuverability in this scenario, neither does he run that mod. Also, he probably lacks either AFT or Fearless Brawl, so like DPM or range, hopefully DPM, so the fight is very, very easy. But I'm going to run him down here. He will get spotted again. He is outside of B, just gotta be a bit careful, maybe I guess about 6k Torps. They're always a bit scary because they're so slow that if I run straight at him, they could reach me. But as you can see, if he would Torp, I would catch him here, spotting-wise. Like, he would have to turn flat, lose speed, and also not run away further from me, so I would spot him. So then I can kill him, most likely before the Torps come in. And you will also see here that I will use AP on him, and it will fuse a lot of shells and deal a lot of damage. The guy has a heal ready too, I think. So here I switch to AP. And I mean, you can still shoot HE at these people. I mean, it's not that little damage, but I mean, you will see it here now. 5k, even though it hits the front. And instant death. And then I even bursted behind, so he's definitely dead. And I'm on my 5th heal, healing back HP again, and we win the game. Pretty nice showcase of what Zorki can do. Once again, the theme is it's only possible because the enemy team is bad. Like a well-played spotting DD with a Van Nevsky behind or a Moskva on a rock is basically locking you out of the game. You can't really do much. You can try to farm down the Moskva, for example, but it's going to take you too long, and if he hides properly, he won't even get himself farmed. You also have to watch out from spotting DDs. You can obviously eat torpedoes all the time. That's a bit scary. We got a lot of fires. Didn't get that much fire damage, though, because a lot of fires were also DCP'd. But in the end, as you could see, no fire prevention BBs. They just burn into the ground. We even arsonisted someone. Yeah, the Yamato in the beginning. Nearly 300k, pretty cool. But the base XP is extremely high. They nerfed DD base XP, so if they wouldn't have nerfed it, this would have been more than 4k base. Probably even very high base XP, like 4.3, 4.5, something like that. Because I did a lot of damage to the destroyers, as you can see. So here's the battleships that have no fire prevention. We have 18k on Kaba, 15k on Elbing, 14.5 on Yamagiri, and 13.3 on Marsh. So I could have killed this guy for free myself, but he ran it into the entire team, so I only get that much damage. And then a bit of damage on the other people. Damage taken, we have 33k. This is what I mean by, and we didn't even use all the heals to full potential. And I had like, I healed back to nearly 10k in the end, so I could theoretically, Zorki can take like 45k with Kuzi proc. The Kuznetsov didn't even proc. I mean, that's also an upside still. So you can take like 45k on Kaba and Zorki. Though keep in mind, Ledge Kaba, for example, reduces your heal effectiveness because it reduces your consumable duration. So yeah, that's why it's obnoxious. It's super hard to kill. I mean, even if you're a Moskva, you shatter HE on the Delny. Delny as well. Delny, Zorki, and Khabarovsk sides and deck. So you only, as you can see down here, the ass, the nose, the superstructure that you can pen. But it's super resistant to HE spam. And, well, didn't actually get spammed that much this game. That's something you like to do in Zorki as well. Be open water, be obnoxious, and actually hope that the enemy BBs and cruisers shoot you and you dodge. Because it's the same logic as Battleship. If you take shots of your teammates, obviously they can play the game longer or more effective. And generally people or battleships shoot, or cruisers even, shoot destroyers at way too obscene ranges and in inopportune timings. Like, there's cruisers turning flat in my team, there's fucking DDs fighting each other, and still just because I'm spamming a BB at 13 kilometers, he feels the urge to shoot back, and it's like, you're just wasting 30 second or 40 second, 30 second after 30 second reload, and not even dealing a lot of significant damage because I spawn with 26k HP and heal. So I can heal back a lot from that shit too, even if he hits me. So yeah, it's kind of hard to like justify it, but basically Zorki is something that you just, or like something like a Zorki Kaba or even like a Lushun, it's just a gunboat that you have to let exist and maybe just kill stuff around it. Like, go for the DD that spots for it, go for the cruiser that's with it, go for the battleship that's with it, maybe kill teammates around him first, and then afterwards he becomes more and more useless, because he alone won't really win the game. For example, if he wants to kill the DD, he has to get himself force spotted. If he wants to spam the cruiser after, you maybe then are freed up as a BB because you killed their cruiser, so then cruiser and BB can shoot it, which also, the more people shooting it, the more effective it becomes. Because if it's only one guy, you can mostly focus on dodging that guy, and it's very effective. If you have a battleship shooting you that you have to dodge, and then there's like a Venezia waiting in the mists of battle, the Venezia can then abuse the fact that you dodge the BB, you slow down or some shit, and then the Ven shits 10, 15k into you. So that's the thing, like, it's hard to justify that this kind of gameplay should exist. Probably shouldn't in the way it does. It's too effective because people are too bad. But you're just being like an obnoxious turd, and well, people have to, I guess, mentally strengthen themselves to deal with it, or fucking finally spec their BBs correct so they can just tank it. Because like, if I play a BB, I don't really mind a gunboat farming me for a few minutes because I can just heal it back. But yeah, since the monkeys are not playing fire prevention, obviously they die to this shit. So yeah, That's Zorky. I personally think it's the most worthwhile DD to get from the super DDs. It's the strongest. The others are mainly just an upgrade over the tier 10, which is also good. It's a super ship done right. Even Zorky, you could argue, is a super ship done right. It's actually not that much stronger than a Khabarovsk, to be fair, especially for the fact that you're up tiered 1 and you have to burn through super BBs. You have to fight Edgar's, Annapolis, Conde, theoretically. So like Khabarovsk is probably, with the buffs it received now, a bit of an easier choice on tier 10. Especially if you have Legemon, you just want to farm, it's a bit easier to play. But yeah, Zorky's still the strongest out of the super DDs, but also probably done more right than the other super ship classes, like cruisers and battleships are a bit outside of the logical conclusion from tier 10 to 11. They're just outright busted. Yeah, that's Zorky. And I hope I see you in the next video. Maybe it's another super ship, maybe it's a newly released ship, we don't know yet. Adios and have a nice time.